if you listen to a piece of classical music, you
something's different in each one. Yeah,
it's almost every 3 or 4 bars you're in a different place.
Yeah,
it's so inventive, it's so expansive, it's so mind altering. Like it literally, that piece of music can take you on a journey.
Right, we're here with the absolutely awesome Jamie Joseph. How you doing, mate?
All good.
Yeah? So I'm basically just going to drop the bomb on you and ask you a massive question. And that basically is, like, what is your story? Like, how have you got into this point in your music career at the moment?
Oh, God, it's been up and downs, smiles and frowns.
Yeah.
I started out Derby born and bred. I've done a lot of open mic scene, a lot of the small clubs, pubs, bars, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, my brother was in a band called Fubar, who did really well, Derby band.
Yeah.
They were almost signed with Warner Brothers, and then he was in another band that did pretty well as well. And then the Park Bench. I don't know if you heard of them.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, there was another band called the Park Bench, and they released a couple of albums that were incredibly well received around Derbyshire. But that was kind of the platform, him and his bands and his friends, and I used to hang around with them. As I say, did the open mics, got around the circuit. People started to know who I was, probably about 16, 17, underage, but you know, we had to start somewhere. So I started in that sort of circles, and then went on from there to start to create my own music. So I write my own stuff with one of the drummers from the band. Started learning acoustic guitar. I was just starting out. We started writing together. We wrote a few songs that have done pretty well, like across my platform online and stuff. But and then I did that for a fair few years, just kind of doing the circuits. And then I got picked up by Baby J, who's the owner of Baby People in Derby. He came along, just saw some of the stuff that I put up online, and was like, "I like the sound of your voice. Do you want to do some stuff? Let's start trying to get you out there a bit further." And then he was kind of a bit of a godsend for me, really. I'd spent 16 to 20 kind of just doing it willy-nilly, just trying to find a way, a path. He came along, we created a bit of music. He started ferrying me around up and down the country, doing loads of bits. And then from there, we spent about 2 or 3 years just doing that, growing the band. Got a van, name plastered on the side. Doing it the official way. We did that for a few years, and we built a really good name for ourselves. Loads of promoters knew us, regular bookings, regular gigs, day in, day out. And then I got signed to Sony, and then kind of hit the big time, shall we say. I spent a couple of years with them, around the world, created an album. Got dropped before it came out. The ups and downs, mate. It's been a real journey. It's been a real. It's been testing times. It's been great times. But the music itself is where my heart was always placed. So I was always an entertainer from a little kid. The ups and downs and the smiles and frowns, as I say. Yeah. So in terms of like drawbacks, you had like quite a few ups and downs, and like, what would you say is like the highlight of your career so far, like the biggest point? Funnily enough, it wouldn't be being signed. There was loads of experiences I had during that time, but I don't think that was the highest points. I think the highest points were before the signing, probably the year leading up to being signed. It was probably my most prolific year musically. Like I played Leicester Square to about 9,000 people. I played underneath Mumford and Sons in Scotland, a mega festival. There must have been 10,000 there as well. There were big numbers. There were some great times. There were some really great times, and in hindsight, you look back and you remember those days, and remember that you individually, there was people involved, obviously, but you worked to get yourself to a stage where you were sustainable. You know what I mean? And then being signed is supposed to be that huge relief. And it was at the start, but it quickly turned into not being. Well, you've obviously sung regularly. Like, it has over 1 million plays on Spotify, right? And I think I've seen something about like brotherhood in there. Like, tell me a bit about that. Like, what happened there? So The journey to becoming signed started off with Noel Clark, who's had a little bit of an up and down career as well, especially in recent time. He had his own subsidiary label that Sony had put forward for him, and he was looking for artists to do music for films.
Yeah.
And then he found us on Twitter. We didn't know that it was him. It was just Unstoppable Records, this place that's come along, and they said, "Oh, put out a post saying we're looking for artists and music." When stuff like that popped up, me and Jay were always just like, get the portfolio together, just send it all in, just anything that pops up like that, just send it in, never know what's gonna happen. Basically, we sent a fair few tracks in, they came back and they were like, we love some of your stuff, like, can we meet up? Went out to London, got down there, got into a bar in Soho, and then Noel Clark was just sat there with his right-hand man. And me and Jay were kind of like, all right, Stan, this is different. Like, we've definitely stepped into a different place here. And he just came in. He said, "We love what you do. Can we use a few of your songs? Can we start getting them put around in different films?" We're like, "Yeah, of course. Obviously, let's get on it." And then as that kind of grew over a few months, he wanted to sign us up, get us on his label, so we were just an artist readily available. And start pushing us and backing us and doing what we can. And then it led to him going to Sony to ask if he could sign us. Sony going, actually, we're going to sign him. And then it escalated. I was going around all the different all the labels.
That was quite like
it was crazy time. It was a crazy time. Like the thing that happens when you get signed or when you've got labels interested. As soon as Sony were interested, I went to go and have a meeting with Virgin. I went to go and have a meeting with Island. I went to go and have a meeting all of them, all of the top labels, because they were all like, okay, who's this kid and why do you want to sign him? What can we offer him? But anyway, so all of that happened, went through the signed to Sony, went through all of that, then created a whole album, got to the point where it was all finished. A lot of bending on my part had to be done to get it to that stage, but we got there, we got to a point where I was like, all right, cool, let's do it. Then I got dropped. I'm sure we'll go into that a bit more detail in a bit. But after that, Noel Clark was more than annoyed, shall we say? Because they dropped me, and he wanted to have me on his label from the start. Didn't work out. But he always kept in touch after those times. And basically, he had obviously kidulthood and adulthood were his original films that put him on the scene. He had the plans for Brotherhood in the back locker, and he was like, obviously, I want a song, and he always loved Regularly. It was like his favorite tune. He always just like, that's the tune. So, he just literally was like, look, Regularly, we're having things going in.
I honestly love that song. I've listened to it like crazy amounts.
And it is the one that's done the best for me, and obviously the film spurred that on massively. And it got such a vital segment in that film. Like it was the start, his brother gets shot, like he's singing that song. It's a massive moment, and man, it went from strength to strength from there. Everyone, even when I went to the premiere, when I went to everywhere I went that involved Brotherhood, everyone was just like, that's the tune, like that's the tune, that is the one, that is the tune of the whole film, like everyone remembers it. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, awesome. So obviously this might delve into a bit like deep, but you said you got dropped, right? What was the reason? Like, why? How did it all come across?
So I couldn't actually give you an ironclad reason to this day.
Okay.
I was never given any information or told anything. It was a lot of ups and downs and struggles throughout the whole process. When they were signing me, when they wanted to sign me, it was all the talks of, because I write all my own stuff. Lyrics and melodies and vocals and stuff. Obviously, I don't actually play anything to a great standard. So, they spun the wheel of, we want you to be the next Stevie Wonder, we want you to be the next Bill Withers, we want you to be the next and obviously my eyes are lighting up. You know what I mean? Like I'm sitting around thinking, Bill Withers, you want me to be the next Bill? Okay. So I'm excited, and they said all the right things and got the deal over the line. And then within the first month or two, I'm going in for meetings, I'm sitting down, and they're like, right, so this is the sort of direction we want you to go. And I'm hearing Jason Derulo. I'm hearing people that, look, no disrespect to Jason Derulo, but somebody that uses auto-tune from most of his music. Do you know what I mean? And like most of the pop music does today, auto-tune and Melodyne and all these things, they're used pretty much on all of it. Like it's not, so it isn't a raw, clean vocal that you're hearing. No, it's a very produced, very...
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Messed about.
Very.
So that's not kind of what you want to be doing, is it? So obviously, when you're growing and whatever, you don't want to be.
I don't want to. I'm not trying to be in the category with those guys.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I'm not. I want a band. I want musicianship. I want variety. I want. Do you know what I mean? I want to be authentic to the music. My craft and my music is soul, R&B. All the old school stuff, jazz, infusion, but also I love hip hop and I love country. I love everything. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't ever want to be put in a box where I can't write in that direction or can't, like that's not it. And I just wanted to be an authentic artist. And so going through that first 6 months being signed, from where it started, the path that they were trying to put me on to where it was going, it was a very tough time. It was a very hard back and forth. Like I'm not doing that. Do you know what I mean?
It's not what you want.
I'm not creating that sound and then touring it and because this is the sort of thing and reason for why you see a lot of artists that do make it. Yeah. Go through mental health issues.
Yeah, because the pressure and
go through losing themselves. Yeah. I don't think the pressure's a problem when you are going in the direction that your heart desires. Yeah. But the problem comes when you are in the studio recording music that you're not really bothered about. You're out performing music that you're not really bothered about.
Yeah, it's just...
And everybody's going, you're amazing, but you're just going, but I don't feel amazing because I'm not doing the things that I want to do. So we went through a bit of that back and forth. And at the end of the day, I spent nearly 2 years with them. And I went over to America. I worked with massive names, Mark Batson, Diane Warren, and Diane Warren is literally the biggest writer of all time. She wrote everything. Like she's worked with everybody. She still does today. She's the most decorated writer of all time. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And she wrote a song, "Hate That I Still Love You," which has been released now.
I love that one as well.
Yeah, it's a good tune. It's still it slides into a pop category, but it's a good tune. And you're not turning down Diane Warren if she's got a song and you've got it recorded it. You're like, all right, Diane, we'll get that on there for you.
It's more like an honor, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. And she is an icon in her own right as well. Like she is such a memorable person. So basically we went through the years of that, and we came around to a point where I was happy with the album. Yeah. I was like, okay, I can live this. I can live this album and I could do this album and we could do it. And it got all the way to completion. Like we were a week away from the first single. We'd just gone to Holland, did like a whole weekend of shows. Yeah. Great time, unbelievable stuff. Come back, landed in the UK, and Jay just got a call, well, not even a call, just a message from Noel Clarke just saying, Sony are on about dropping Jamie. Wow. And we just landed and we were going to go on, we were driving on our way to London to go and sign our publishing deal, or my publishing deal. And because I'd written 90% of the album, that publishing deal was going to be for a substantial amount of money. Yeah. Like, it was going to be a life-changing amount of money, do you know what I mean? So, that just started filtering through the airways, and we were like, well, I was devastated. Yeah. It was, it was a terrible time, but, and I think my real devastation just leads back to, after thinking about it, it just leads back to just signing the deal, really. There's loads of things in between that where I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have done this, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But in actual fact, you did what happened. I was just trying to be as authentic as I could be to myself, and I've always been that way. Yeah, I've always been like that since I was a baby. You know what I mean? I've always done things the way I wanted to do them, and it paid off all the way up until the point of being signed. So but when I lead back to it all, I could talk about this, that, the other, but really the point that we signed that deal, and for any artist, any aspiring artist, or anybody coming through, if you're at a stage where you're playing gigs every day and you got a band, you got a van, you got a schedule, and you're creating new stuff, and you're plodding on, and you're paying your bills, and you've got money to spare. Sometimes you got to realise that this made it that you're looking for
isn't what it actually
made it. Is that moment where you're a full-time musician getting paid and living and having money to spare. That is the peak. And from doing that and continuing to do that, you will gain the attraction, and you will gain the promoters, and you will gain all the support. It will come if you just continue down that road. If you've got a label that's looking to sign you, it's because they know that they can profit massively from what you're doing. So being an artist, you achieve the things that makes you valuable. Once you sign that over to a label, they start to reap the rewards for how brilliant you are. And in this day and age, they don't know what brilliance is. They don't know what. Like they think they know, and the public seems to believe that the music they hear on the radio and I mean, you got Spotify and things now, so you can find artists. There's still unbelievable artists out there. There's no doubt about that. But you really have to dig for those artists now. The further you go back in time, the great artists, the standout artists, the special people were held on high. But now everybody just falls into the same sort of category.
And it's all mixed.
The music sounds like the same producer on everything. They're all the same sonics. The beauty of music is the fact that somebody could just go, you know what, I'm just going to stand on that stairwell and I'm going to shake these chains to get this sound, and I'm going to record it, and I'm going to put it in, and I'm going to sort of work with that. The sonics that creates a completely different feeling and sound to anything else that you hear, and that is the beauty of music. That is what grips people.
It can change. It can
be anything. And again, you look at the different genres of music throughout the 60s, 70s, 80s, and you listen to the sonics, you listen to how drums are being produced, you listen to how strings are being produced, and the levels of those things. Like you go back to like soul music, and even though the drums are very prominent, rhythmic, and loads of hi-hats and cymbals and little hits and they're actually sonically quite low in the mix. They're not heavy, they're kind of background. They're just there keeping things going, and other things are horns are prominent.
I think that's the beauty of it as well. You've got all these little things that add up together and really just make like magic, really. Just something amazing.
Something that lands in a different area, a different sonic, a different pocket, a different. That's the stuff that gets people and makes people go, "What's that? That's different. That's new. That's inventive." I don't think there's much of that going around anymore. So there's so much technology involved, so much electronic. The capabilities of your production are the thing that take over now. Not to say that like drum and bass, like grime, all these different things, production's still great. You can still find great like producers that do inventive things, but in the mainstream, in the broader scope of everything that's promoted, it all sounds
similar now.
Just very close, very, very close. Everything sounds kind of the same, and there's only one route to kind of take with everything, and that's it's taking away from the beauty of what music is.
I think that's something maybe that needs to be like kind of changed a bit. Maybe people need to realise that there's more out there than just this big kind of section where everyone's congregating around. There needs to be some more sort of different.
You're always going to grab the masses though with the mainstream media, and that's where most people gain their information from the newspapers, from MTV, or like, even though most people might not be into that, still 90% of the world is, and that is where they Radio 1 and all these spots. And when I listen to Radio 1 now, when I was a kid, Radio 1 only played the best. Like it only played the best of the best. You weren't like you would never. I don't mean to dog on Jason Derulo, but that's the name that just comes to my head every time because I've been linked to this guy so many times. So but that style of music is, I don't think we can call it inspiring.
It's common.
It's just it's like in the 80s when your Madonnas came out and you did like they were classed as your bubblegum pop, but in actual fact, the production, the writing, is still it's miles ahead of where we're at now.
Yeah.
As far as mainstream. Do you know what I mean? There was still some intuitive decisions. There was still some things like, oh, maybe do this, or we'll change that to there, or instead of just the same 4 bars of music, just repeat it, and people going, oh yeah, no, that's my favorite artist, and you just think, why though? Why is it your favorite? Like, what is inspiring you? What is taking your mind to a new place? Because that's what artistry was like back in the day. Like I always go back. I mean, look, you go back as far as the 1800s if you want, like back to classical and like even further back than that. You can, if you listen to a piece of classical music, you
something's different in each one. It's
almost every 3 or 4 bars you're in a different place.
Yeah,
it leads to a different place. It completely changes at times. It's not the same piece of music you were listening to 30 seconds ago. It's so inventive. It's so expansive. It's so mind altering. Like it literally that piece of music can take you on a journey. That it just feels like a bit of a lost art. And I know that there's artists still out there doing it and they're still trying to breathe it into existence, but it just doesn't get the backing. It doesn't get the support. It doesn't get the promotion. It doesn't, and because of that, I don't want to say failed artists because they still created a body of work that can still inspire and still give people some hope. But it just feels like the hard-working artist that is trying to build their career nowadays hits so many walls, and has to kind of bend and lower their standard to be seen firstly, and to be heard by the powers that can actually make change. So it's just a very hard time for an artist, and I think I just saw the back end of it and lived into the bit where, like I say, the powers that be they just want something that sounds like the last thing something that worked.
So that's a shame because a lot of people now won't go in the path that they want to go to. They'll obviously go to the mainstream path where it's not what they want to do. And obviously you were saying you didn't want to do that, which is, fair enough. Like it's not what you want to do and it's what you're feeling, like what you want to do. I think that's the best way to go. Like
100%, 100%. I mean, there was a lot of change after being dropped. A lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of loss as well. Like I'd carried the band forward into a place where we were playing massive shows and big things, and then once I got dropped, that band just kind of they just fell off. They all just dipped away. They all just went off and left me, and not trying to play the sob stories and the what's it calls, but it does feel like a time in my life where if everything would have just glued together at that time, if everything could have just glued together, I would have bounced forward in a much better light. I would have been able to continue on growing and have the passion for it. At a time when I'd lost a lot of energy to do it. It just didn't help that everything fell away and everything just kind of petered off because I could have kept going, could have kept gigging. The promoters were still there, the times were still there. And I did in smaller parts. I did carry on doing music and I still make music today and I still get booked for gigs today and I still live from the past and everything that I've done. So it's nowhere near over, and I'm not saying it's finished. It's just a completely different outlook now. And I think obviously COVID as well. COVID was
messed things up for a lot of people.
It was massive for me because whereas I was still doing the gigs here and there and I was still making a bit of money and like maybe an extra £1,000 a month of income. As soon as COVID hit, that just completely disappeared. And it wasn't like I could just do bit of part-time work here and there and like make ends meet, I had to go back to work. I had to just actually work and do what everyone else normally does. And there's no shame in that. It's not something that I frown upon or feel bad about, but you know what I mean? It's when you come from such a spot and then you come back to reality, it's like, okay, it's very eye-opening, should we say.
Yeah, so have you got any plans for the future? In terms of like your music career?
Yeah. So I mean, Jay, recently we've got some funding to do an album, and we're putting that together now. I've been recording a few bits, sending bits back, doing demos, just getting some stuff together. So that's there. I've got so much stuff from over the years that I've created and kind of got to a point where I just need to get in the studio with a band and just really start developing some of the songs. There's so much stuff like backed up but it's, again, I think I'd gone from losing the momentum to kind of regaining it. And then COVID hit, took all the wind out of the sails again. Because I'm a performing artist. In this modern day, it pays more to be a studio artist. That's just creating, releasing. And I still have a fan base on the Spotify, on social medias where I should, if I just keep releasing, then I will kind of regain a lot of that following. I will get the royalties will jump back up again and it'll feel better. But again, it was never about the money for me. No, it was just about something you enjoyed doing. The money comes when you hit the point of enjoying it fully and you're immersed in it and you're doing it. And I do want to get back to that. I want to get back to just being immersed in it again. But life is life and there's bills to pay. Things get in the way, I guess. I've got misses and I'm 33 now and like, still thinking about babies. No, but you know what I mean? You're thinking about just having a family and you're thinking about like actual life. So like I'm always here for any artists that want to talk about stuff, and I'm always involved in music and I always want to find new inspiring artists, and it will never leave me. The love for music will never leave me, but it's just life, isn't it? Life just it comes round and it hits you in the face and you go, I've got to make decisions and I've got to do stuff that is going to benefit me in my actual real world, not just the music world. So, but yeah, man, music will always be there and I'm always gigging, and like I've got a couple of gigs literally just before Christmas, 22nd, 23rd, and I'm still playing, I'm still doing what I can, I'm still trying to enjoy it. And there's new music definitely on the horizon. So I'm looking forward to that. 100%. Man. All right, well, I'm not sure how long my phone will record for. Is it still got battery? Yeah, I think so. So thank you very much for being here, mate. It was awesome seeing you. A big thanks to Mr. Shaw, obviously, for having us here at Mr. Shaw's house on SADLERGATE, Derby. Come down, do some great stuff, some good food, some drink, have a good time. They've got gigs on sometimes as well. So make sure to check that out. Thanks again. No worries. Cheers, mate.